Hey guys, it's Chris Daniel, the PMP Guru. Now, this video is near and dear to me because I've heard student after student ask the question, how do I study for the PMP exam? So I'm going to break it down and I'm going to explain it exactly how I studied to pass it on my first try, exactly how I teach my boot camp students to study, and I'm going to make it very, very clear to you. Okay, so here we go. I've created what I call the Guru's PMP study format, all right? In the PMP study format, I just strongly believe that you should study 2 to 2.5 hours at a time max. All right, well, why only 2 hours? Simply because you tend to tune out after that, sometimes even before that. So I want to break down how the study session should go, and you got to understand something. If you do this consistently enough, you will be ready to pass that exam on the first or your next try. So the key is the 2-hour increment, all right? And what you need to be able to do is study for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week for 26 days, all right? So where did you come up with these numbers, Chris? Well, again, 2 hours, that's about as max as you can study in that heavy content, all right? For 5 days in a row, it's about consistency. Being consistent in your studies. The trick is to study 5 days, and it doesn't have to be consecutive days, guys, but we can skip every other day if you want, but 5 days a week. Now, why 5? Because 2 days is a slippery slope. What do you mean, Chris? If you skip 2 days of studying, what happens is 2 turns into 3, 3 turns into 5, and then you're a week without studying, and then you feel frustrated. You feel bad because you're behind, especially if you're in a study group. So guys, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and 26 days, that's almost a month. If we do the math, that's about 40 to 50 hours of self-study. That is a great amount in addition to the boot camp, all right? And now I didn't say it, but let me say it, you have to take a boot camp in addition with this, all right? So if you're just studying alone and self-studying, in another video, I'm going to talk about the dangers of self-studying, but this is not enough if you have not taken a boot camp. Let me be very clear about that, all right? So once again, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week for 26 days will lead you to your PMP credential. Now, how do I break down the 2 hours, you say? I'm glad you asked. What I've done is I've broken down what I share with my students is a very effective study strategy. So within those 2 hours, whether it be from 5 to 7 p.m. or 6 to 8 or 4 a.m. to 6 a.m., if you can get 2 solid hours of studying, that's phenomenal. But I know we live in the real world, right? And sometimes we've got competing priorities, kids, family, dinner, work, right? So sometimes you can't sit down and do a solid 2. Guys, it's okay to break it up, all right? If you need to break it up to an hour or hour 15 minutes in the morning and another hour, hour 15 in the evening, great. I remember when I studied for it, I was catching a commuter bus into DC from Maryland, and it was an hour in and an hour out, and that was my study time. I just put my headset on, put some Baroque music with no words in it, and literally open my study materials and flashcards, okay? So it's okay to divvy up your study time. That works too. Now, if you've got a solid 2 hours, let me teach you how to break your 2 hours up into segments so that you're studying effectively. Because most people just pull the book out and they read, and the PMBOK is so unsexy they fall asleep in the book, right? So here's how you do it. Your first 10 minutes, you need to focus on the PM50 chart. What's the PM50 chart? It's the chart with all the process groups and the knowledge areas. In those 50 processes, you need to study that chart. And I say take 10 minutes and try to regurgitate that chart on a blank sheet of paper. Try to write it on a blank sheet. We want to simulate the exam environment as much as we can, guys, all right? So the first 10 minutes, you want to pull out a blank sheet and see how many of those things you can remember from that chart and jot down on that blank sheet. Start every study session the first 10 minutes that way. And I challenge you to set the timer on your phone or an egg timer to do so, because we want to be sure we can get it in under 10 minutes, all right? The next 40 minutes, this is the meat of the study session. You need to be able to open your PMBOK or Andy Curl's book or Rita Mulcahy's book or Head First book or whatever book you're studying, and you need to get in one chapter or one section, take about 40 minutes, and I want you to develop 20 to 30 flashcards in that section alone. Don't go through the book, just stay section by section. And the chart is a good way to divvy up where you're studying, okay? So I always teach people to go initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing, and move down the column section by section. That's a good way to study. Now, the funny thing about Crow's book and Mulcahy's book and Head First book, they go left to right on that chart. It doesn't really matter. Real project management happens top to bottom and across the chart. So that's how I teach people to study. But during this 40 minutes, you want to create 20 to 30 flashcards off everything you highlighted, dog-eared, circle, check mark, came back to, put a star about, all that stuff. Make sure you create flashcards. Why flashcards, Chris? Because flashcards shows that you can apply the information. It goes from thought to writing. Guys, something magical happens when you do that, all right? So spend 40 minutes. Now we're up to 50 minutes, all right? Now, I believe, again, simulating the exam, so I want you to take a 5 to 10 minute break. And during that break, I want you to stretch or rest or check your phone or check in with family, get some water, just reset and reframe yourself for this next half of your study session, okay? On this next half, I want you to take 30 minutes and do Q&A, all right? Why Q&A and where's the Q&A come from? In the back of each chapter, in the back of each section, these books have 20 to maybe 30 questions sometimes, and I want you to quiz yourself, all right? Close all the other books, answer those questions as best you can. And out of 20, the magic number is about 17, guys. That's the proficient number. So if you can get 17 right, then you're in a good place. But if you can't, what do? Well, I'm a firm believer in, here's the deal with the Q&A. You need to know why you got the questions right. So you need to read the justification and understand why you got them right. You need to put those on the flashcard. The ones you got wrong, make sure you flashcard those and put the justification on the back as well. All right, and that's going to give you about a half hour. Now you're in your last half hour of study, all right, and you probably got anywhere from 40 to 60 flashcards in a good hour and a half study session. That's phenomenal. What I want you to do for that last half hour, break it into 15-minute sessions. 15 minutes, I want you to review all the flashcards, make sure you know what you wrote down, review them. And the last one, I want you to review all the material that you studied, right? If you need to write down anything else, any acronyms, any mnemonic devices that help you remember the content, write those down. Not only on flashcards, some people want to do it in a journal or a notebook. You can get one for 50 cents at Walmart or Target, and it's a great resource to take it from mind to hand to application. Remember, that exam is about 30% memory, it's about 30% application, and guys, you need to understand what that means. Not just the terms, but how to apply the terms. So this is a great, very effective breakdown. It's the breakdown I use when I was studying. It's the same breakdown I use to give my students in my boot camps. And guys, I hope to see you in one of those soon. So take care and happy studying.